Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Local Film Talk. I'm your host, Bob Walters, and we're here with Caryll Orejola, a student at NC State who is studying film. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, I found out about your work because there was actually a screening of student short films back in early November of 2015, just in case people listen to this way down the road. And your films was one of the ones that screened. And I was actually a little surprised because I don't know if I'm in the majority here or not, but I was not really aware that there was a film program at NC State. So tell us a little bit about that. What department is that under, and what kind of stuff can you study there?
All right. So, film studies at NC State, it's under the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, so under CHAS. And you can go about it like one of two ways. It's basically a concentration. So on my degree, it'll say a Bachelor of Arts in Art Studies with a concentration in Film Studies, or you can get it through an English degree. And the degree is mainly more of like theoretical kind of stuff, like studying film. Through the art studies, you get to do the production courses. So there isn't a whole lot of that. It's more about like learning film history and different genres. Like I've taken so many random classes on like Spanish horror film and film of the 90s. So you just get
Spanish horror films?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. What kind of stuff did you learn about there? So what can I add to my list that I need to check out? Or was Spanish horror films not your thing?
I'm actually a big horror movie fan.
Oh, yeah?
So that's why I took the class. But this class was mainly just stuff from like people, directors and people from Spain. So I got it was a lot of good movies. A lot of Guillermo del Toro work, even though he's from Mexico.
Now, when you say you're studying like, in the like Spanish film, that kind of stuff, was it more like indie stuff or just older films?
I think it was a mix of a lot of different things. I can't remember all the directors, but we did watch like some indie horror. We did 2 or 3 movies by Guillermo del Toro. We actually watched The Orphanage in one class. So it was a good range of Spanish directors.
Well, that's pretty cool. So are you more interested in the academic stuff, the criticism, the like being a film historian, or are you more interested in the production end of it?
I'm more interested in the production end, which is why I'm like so ready to get out of school.
Right. Well, at least you gotten to do some work in it already. Like I said before, I wasn't aware that there was a film program at NC State. Is it something relatively new? Because like I know ECU only started their program a couple years ago. UNC used to have a much bigger program, but once the School of the Arts took off, I think they started focusing more on theater. Is NC State's program an older one or a newer one?
I honestly don't know. I didn't even know he had one until a couple years ago because I originally was not a film major. So when I found out
Okay.
about it, I actually switched in.
Oh, very cool. So tell us a little bit about your track. Are you originally from here, like Raleigh, Durham area?
I
Okay,
grew up in Charlotte and I moved to Raleigh to go to the state.
nice. So what got you interested in film?
I think I've always been into movies or at least making things. I spend most of my time watching TV and stuff like that, but I never really saw a career out of it.
Hmm.
I thought it'd be really hard to get into. Um, so it was kind of something I just like to do for fun. Me, my brother, and my neighbor, we would make funny home videos growing up, but
Your
I
folks
never
have
thought
a
about
like a video camera?
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now you're a little bit younger than me. When I was a kid, my folks had one of those big, like a consumer grade camera, was like, sat on your shoulder and you had to put a full size VHS tape in it. What kind of camera did you guys have?
They weren't quite that big. They're a little bigger than like little hot dog sized ones they have now, but they
Oh
still
yeah.
use tapes too. So,
Okay, like the mini DV tape.
mhm.
Okay. I had one of those cameras for a while. I think I might still have it. I haven't used it in a long time. I started using digital a while ago. I have the Canon T4i and T5i. Um, but yeah, oh, and there go the dogs. I told you they go crazy. Somebody must be home. But so yeah, it's what kind of stuff did you shoot? Just like did you guys come up with your own stuff when you were kids, or did you try reshooting scenes you saw in movies you liked?
We came up with our own type of stuff, kind of like sketch stuff like Saturday Night Live. So
Mm-hmm.
I would come up with like the most random situations and just film things in our backyard.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And this was do you still have any of that stuff? Your,
Um,
your
I
parents pull it
don't
out
think
for
so.
Thanksgiving and say it, and you're like, "Oh my God, no! Don't show them that again."
It actually, on my previous MacBook, before I started learning how to like back stuff up,
Hmm.
it was all saved on there. And then one day, my laptop just crashed, so I
Oh
unfortunately
crap!
don't have anything.
All my old stuff from when I was younger was on those tapes, and they sat in an attic for so long. I'm not sure those tapes are any good anymore. So now all my stuff is up on the cloud, and we'll just hope Google never crashes. So, what were some of the your favorite movies and TV shows that influenced you when you were younger?
I like don't even know. That's like I don't. I can't think of anything specific. Um,
You mentioning a minute ago that you're really into horror. Did you like horror when you were younger too, or is that a recent development in your taste?
it was. I guess maybe that's the reason why I started filming things, even though I never filmed anything horror related. I like go the comedy route. Sometime in middle school, I watched The Grudge 2, and for some reason, that remains the scariest movie in my book. But any other
Really?
movie I watch, like nothing is that scary, and I don't know why I'm scared by it. But after that, I just got obsessed with watching horror movies, and I got really into like Japanese and Korean stuff, just like things that actually seem scary to other people.
Hmm.
And because of that, I got really interested in watching more films and just like spending all my time doing that and then trying to make my own movies too.
Now, is horror one of like the genre you're most interested in as far as what you want to make yourself?
It actually isn't. It's the most interested I'm into studying actually. But as in terms of like making films, I actually do a lot of comedy work.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay. Do you usually do more writing or directing?
writing. I've always wanted to be a writer. Before I got into film studies, um, throughout like middle school and high school, I just wrote a lot of my own stories. That's kind of why I wanted to start studying film because I found out we had a screenwriting class at State. So I took that
Nice.
one summer.
So, did you know much about screenwriting format to begin with? Like, did you look it up on the internet on your own and figure it out, or did you just kind of write stories and then you came across this program and said, "I need to learn that if I want to do screenwriting"?
Yeah. In high school, I actually took a creative writing class.
Oh,
And so
okay.
we kind of just like wrote like poems and short stories. And then for my final, I think I tried writing my own screenplay. And so I did a lot of research in that. And then when I took the screenwriting class, it definitely helped because all we kind of learned in that class was to use this one software that would format all your work. But the class is mainly to workshop.
Hmm. Okay. So so you did mostly writing, mostly comedy in high school, and then you get to NC State. I forget, what did you say you were majoring in originally?
I used to major in graphic design.
Graphic design. Okay. And then you find out about the film studies program and you switch your major. Um, how far did you get in the graphic design stuff? And did any of what you learned there, have you found it applicable to what you've learned in the film studies program?
Um, it was the summer um, between my sophomore going into my junior year. I decided to study abroad in Prague. So the previous semester, I had just gotten a minor in film studies. Um, so I just actually just took film classes while I was in Prague. And then in the middle of my study abroad trip, I decided I actually like thinking about film 24/7. Design, I wasn't actually like ever in my plan to be a graphic designer. I
Right.
just like making things and thought, oh, I got into design school at State. This is a big thing. I should go for it. But being in Prague and just like visiting studios and stuff like that, I just became obsessed with it and just decided to switch like right on the spot. Um, but a lot of what I did learn in graphic design did transfer over. I had to film some stuff for some of my classes, and then because we do a lot of 2D work, we learn a lot about framing and like what looks good, like how to compose things. So that
Right.
definitely helped when during my film production class.
Nice, nice. Shot composition and color palettes, complementary stuff, that kind of thing. Cool. So this is kind of cool. I didn't know about the whole studying abroad. Tell me a little bit what that was like. That sounds. What was the film program like when you were studying over there, and what's the film industry like over there?
Um, I kind of found out about the study abroad thing in Prague, kind of like I found out about film studies at State. I just like came across it. My film professor, I think to my intro to film class was like, by the way, in like a month, I'm going to Prague to teach the screenwriting class. If anyone's interested, you should look into it. So I was like, I guess I'm going to Prague in a month. So that actually happened. And what I liked about the program was they definitely used the place to their advantage.
Mhm.
So Prague actually has Berendov Studio, which a lot of films, like a lot of like really good films were made there. I think Amad, yeah, the movie Amadeus was shot
Okay.
all there. A lot of people in Prague like to call Berendov where the location, the Berendov Hills, kind of like Beverly Hills. That's because yeah,
Okay.
the that studio is like one of the biggest there, and they also filmed Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia there. We got to tour the studio. Um, we saw props from like all these different movies, so we kind of learned about film history in a place where a lot of it took place. So I really like that.
Okay. Now, what was that like? Actually, being able to where you were studying, you had a studio there that you could go and see a lot of that stuff. Because, like you said, there's a program at NC State, and even at the School of the Arts, they have a lot of their own facilities, but it's not like it's convenient to actually go to a big studio. I mean, the closest studio
Yeah.
is down in Wilmington, and that's not exactly a short day trip kind of
Mhm.
thing. So, was it nice being able to, when they told you about something in class, you could actually go to the studios and see what they were talking about?
Yeah, so like we learn about like sets and set production and stuff like that, but we kind of just like look in our textbook or look online and just like see people with like big cameras and like all this stuff, but then you never really realize that how big a space is. So um I don't know if you've seen the Borgias.
I have not. No.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of it, but after figuring out it was filmed at the studio, I started watching some of it. So we visited the back lot where that was filmed, and it's like I can see that back lot whenever I watch the show, but there was just so much extra put into it.
Right.
Like they kind of only ever make one level of like a building, and they actually just CGI the rest. And you think that they found like that a show will find a castle to film all this fancy stuff in, but it's really just like this built thing, and they use lighting and all this other type of editing and camera angles and stuff to make the walls look super tall and grand. And it's like I could make the connection that like movies are pretty magical things, and a lot of people like put a lot of hard work into like post production and stuff like that to make you think that what you're seeing on TV is just like this really
This
big
is really
production.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you a little surprised at how, like, once you actually get on set and you look at things and you can actually see some of the props close up, how fake a lot of it looks? Because
Yeah.
I've heard that, like, there's that big push when the first Hobbit movie came out that
Hmm.
they were going to show it at 48 frames a second
Hmm.
instead of the normal 24 frames. And what a lot of people said was the effect of that was that it took away a lot of that filmic cinematic quality and made
Hmm.
it look more like what you would actually see with your eyes naturally.
Hmm.
And that made it a lot more apparent that, the stonework in the background was carved styrofoam, and Gandalf's
Hmm.
staff wasn't real wood, and everything
Yeah.
was it weird to actually be on a set and see all that stuff and say, wow, all that stuff that looks big and heavy and grand and expensive is a lot. I don't want to say shoddier, but it's definitely
Yeah.
faked.
Yeah, I was going through like the little town that they had built, and like you're touching the walls, and it's not real stone at all.
Hmm.
It's like a little harder than styrofoam, but you can tell like up close that it's just like all painted, and none of it's actually real.
Right. I went one time when I was looking at colleges. I went down to UNC Wilmington, and while I was down there, I went by Screen Gems, and I saw where they filmed Dawson's Creek. And I remember the school setting because we went into the hallways, and the ceiling was actually lower than it would be in a normal school. It's probably like 3 or 4 feet lower, so it was actually kind of claustrophobic. And then the lights were right over your head, and I remember thinking, I just can't believe that you can't see all this stuff. You don't realize that the light is all, you could almost reach up and touch the studio light. It's all so low, but that's the magic of what they can do with the camera and positioning everything just right and lighting it correctly. So you found that kind of stuff inspirational when you were over
Yeah.
there? Okay. Now, and when I say that, I guess I mean more from like a directorial and a production standpoint, because as a writer, it's just all about your imagination, and it's up to other people to come up with that stuff. Did seeing all this and it piquing your interest, did that make you want to get more into the production end than just writing?
Yeah, definitely. So when I write, I kind of just like write whatever I want, but then I think about like what would work in a movie? How would somebody else pull this off?
Hmm.
So I always felt limited in my ideas. But then after seeing all this, I'm like, honestly, I can just write whatever. You can figure it out, like how to make it happen after
Right.
seeing the sets.
So, so you studied for, was it a semester or a year over in Spain?
Oh, I studied in Prague, Czech
Sorry,
Republic.
sorry, sorry, Prague. My
That's
bad.
fine. I just studied for 6 weeks over the summer.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. And so then you came back, and that's when you went full tilt into the film program.
Mhm.
So what kind of classes have you been taking? Are there as many screenwriting classes in that, or is the program at NC State more production focused?
Um, it's more just studying film history and stuff like
Okay.
that. The only production classes we have are there's one screenwriting class and then one film production class. And I actually took screenwriting and advanced screenwriting, and then the production class, and then just kind of a random slew of history classes.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So so like I said at the beginning, I found out about your work through a film, not a festival, but a screening that was happening at NC State of student films, and I don't have it pulled up right here, so I don't remember the name of the event. But tell me a little bit about that screening, because I wasn't actually able to attend, but it sounds like a lot of you guys who was it all seniors showing their senior projects?
It was a mix of the film production class from last spring semester, so the semester that I took the class. So it's
Okay.
kind of like me and my classmates. And then I think there were some from that fall semester. And then in the communications department at our school, there's a digital film production class.
I talked to some people whose stuff was like straight up CGI. And yeah, I can't remember what department they were out of, but that was pretty cool.
I think the design school has an
Design
animation.
school. That's
Yeah.
where it was. Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about some of these projects. You had sent me two films that you did, one of which being the one that you had submitted to the screening. But these two projects, you shot both of them on film, actually. Now, I've never actually gotten to work with film. So what was shooting on film like?
It was definitely an experience. So we shot all of our projects in that class on 16 millimeter film,
Okay.
and
What's the length of that tape? How long can you shoot for?
I think one tape was around 3-ish minutes.
Okay.
So, and there's definitely like no playback. So you have to be very, very confident with what you shoot. You have to make sure that your storyboards are on point, and then everyone in your casting crew also knows what's going on.
Hmm.
Because once the film rolls, you cannot roll it back, and you just have to trust that you got all the footage you need.
Right. And you know, you just can't afford. I mean, granted, you're shooting for projects at the school. They're providing the film reels, right? Or did you have to go and buy those yourself?
We actually ordered them from Kodak. So
Okay.
we ordered them
Oh,
from Kodak, and then we send them straight back to Kodak.
okay.
So they process it for us, and then they send it back to all of our footage back to us on a hard drive.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
never had to deal with any of the processes of. Okay. So you have shot some stuff digital.
Mhm.
You know, you're talking about the time limit and having to have all your ducks in a row before you start shooting. What are some of the other differences with shooting on film? I've talked to some people recently about shooting digital. One of my friends actually just shot a feature film on
Mhm.
a Red Epic, so it was all digital, all 4K. And the thing about shooting digital these days is that you can get so much data that you actually shoot a really flat image. It looks completely washed out because you're just capturing as much data as you can. And then it's about going into Adobe After Effects or Premiere or whatever and color correcting then. In film, you know, I guess when they send you back the hard drive with all the data on it, there's certainly some tweaking you can do. But with film, you've got to get a lot more of what you were originally going for in camera at the time of shooting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like how did you deal with the short film Switched, I believe it was, that you actually showed at the screening is
Mhm.
actually shot all indoors,
Yeah.
um
That
kind of
one was,
dimly lit. What's it like trying to shoot a low light scene like that on film?
yeah. So that project, the only constraint we had was that it had to be 50% artificial light.
Okay.
So that's why it was very low light. And the hardest part with that is there's actually like a lot of math involved with filming on film, because you have to think about like your f-stops and all of that kind of stuff, because
Lumens and that kind of
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
what you see on camera, like looking through the eyepiece, that's not actually what you'll see when the film comes back. So you
Right.
have to make sure that you check your light meters and everything is set before you start shooting, because like if it's too high or too low and the aperture is like not letting in enough light, when you come back, when the film comes back to you, it might just be totally dark, even though you can totally see everything that's in front of you in real life.
Right, right. So did you find the process of shooting on film really I mean, I'm sure it was educational. Obviously, you learned things, but do you think a lot of that will be applicable to when you get out in the real world and start shooting on digital? Because the odds are very slim you'll be
Mhm.
shooting on film in a professional setting.
Yeah.
But do you feel like a lot of those lessons will tie over?
Yeah, it'll definitely make me kind of like really, really think about what I'm putting down on a storyboard and like what I'm choosing to film, because with digital, you kind of think that you can just film anything and everything, and then when you're editing, you can just kind of choose from that what to do. So why not just get all of it? But that kind of is a waste of time.
Right.
With film, you can just make sure that you get what you need, and um, I think it makes you more resourceful of like the footage that you get.
Right.
Um,
Well,
because
you
it's
have to be more efficient because you can't,
yeah,
with a DSLR, you can go around and shoot 30 minutes, 60 minutes of
mhm,
whatever, and it's just hard drive space. But,
yeah,
with film, you can't necessarily afford to just shoot stupid stuff for 30
yeah,
minutes. That's a huge waste of resources.
yeah. I feel like it makes you not overthink the process.
Right, right. Which is important, especially when you got a big crew and all that stuff, to be able
Mhm,
to communicate exactly what you want, which film will make you do. Otherwise, you're going to have shit for an image.
mhm.
Um, that's something that definitely translates later on when you're doing a bigger production and you've got 30, 40 people standing around waiting for you to tell them exactly what you want. So tell us a little more about this about Switched, which you actually screened. What was you told me about the constraint? You wrote and directed that one.
Yeah.
Okay. What I mean, what was your idea behind this? Tell me a little bit about the writing process behind that one, and were there any constraints associated with that?
Um, I think the biggest thing was for this project, this was like for some reason the one project I had absolutely no idea what to do, what to write about.
Hmm.
So when I make movies, I like to just listen to a bunch of songs that will sort of inspire me, and then I hit that one song "Easy" by Sun Lux, and
Okay.
that kind of got me thinking, kind of like a music video, like what does this song make me feel? Like what do I think would happen if this song was actually like, playing in real life? Um, and then for some reason I got onto the idea of breakups, and my friend, the guy in that film, he was like doing this on-off thing with his girlfriend. So I was just like, let me just kind of use that as my muse and write a film about that.
Art imitates life.
Mhm.
So how long did it take you to shoot? And what kind of post production went into that one? Did you also edit it, or was part of the project having different people to do different jobs so you learned how to communicate your vision to other people?
Um, so for I think that video is like roughly like 3-ish minutes, and
Pretty short.
I had about like 5 minutes of tape to film. And out of like the 5 minutes of tape, it actually took us, I think, like 6 hours on set to actually do everything.
That's
Um,
not too bad.
yeah,
That's setting everything up, lighting, all that stuff
yeah.
too, right? Now, having the limited, amount of time to shoot on film,
Mhm.
was rehearsal really important?
Um, I would definitely get my actors to like kind of like go over their facial expressions and stuff at least like a few times just to make sure. And then I would show them this is where I'm putting the camera. This part on the storyboard, this is like how much I'm getting, so they're aware. And then I would make sure that the rest of my crew with like lighting and stuff like that would also like know their place on like where to be on set and like what I wanted on screen.
Okay. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool little film. Especially for someone working with film, not knowing what that's like. That always impresses the hell out of me. What kind of response have you gotten from it? Did it do well at the screening? Hoping you got a good grade on it.
Yeah. Um, I think it was one of my class's like favorite films in the class.
Okay, cool.
'Cause, like they really liked the song I chose, and then um, for this movie, the previous movie, I had a lot of trouble with like camera movement and stuff like that, just because this camera was huge and it was like 15 pounds and I couldn't carry it. So I did all of it on a tripod with like no movement at all. I just like wanted like the shot itself.
I'm not carrying this damn thing around
Yeah,
anymore.
I
Screw
just
it, it's
like
all locked
wanted
down.
every shot to be arresting, and like work with the music. So a lot of people like that I went that route. I
Hmm.
didn't choose to just like pan the camera and do all of these crazy movements to make it look cool. And that I did a lot of the cutting and cutting to black and stuff like that because no one expected that.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of film at its most basic form is just, a lockdown, steady shot, and then cutting back and forth. That's kind of the basics. And then all these pannings and tilts and other stuff that people do. That's the icing on the cake when you want to get fancy. But you gotta really learn that basic stuff first. It's like musicians. No matter how good a guitar player you're talking about, they sit around and they practice scales all day, even if they're 20 years into their career, because you gotta have those basics down solid. So I think you did a really good job nailing the basic elements of that stuff. And looking forward to what you can see once you start stretching out a little bit and trying some fancier stuff. So was it well received at the screening?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not graduated yet. You've got probably, you said, another year to go,
Yeah.
2 more semesters. Are you going to be involved the way the classes are set up? Will you have to do any more films before you graduate? Or will you
I
just be
won't have
working
any.
on other people's?
Yeah, I think I'll be working on other people's. I don't have a whole lot of other production classes to work on. I kind of just
Okay.
have all my studying to do. But
Right.
I'll definitely some of my friends are trying to take the film production class now after seeing what I've done. So I'll definitely help them with their films.
Okay. Cool. Are Now, if you don't have to do anything on your own for for school, are you working on stuff for yourself? Do you still write?
I definitely still write. I just have like all these ideas in my head, and I just need to get them on paper. And I try to work film into my other classes in any possible way.
Hmm.
For one of my visual art classes, I decided to do a film as my final project. So I try to work it in other ways, just to, like keep up with that.
Very nice. Well, yeah. Thank you, Carl. Thank you for coming on. Is there anything else you wanted to promote? Do you have a website, a Twitter page, or anything where people can see more of your work?
Not right now.
Still just a student. Haven't started branding yourself yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. We can, you're still welcome you can always let me know. Just shoot me an email if you ever have something else that you want to promote, or if any of your work is screening sometime. I'm happy to help spread the word there. Or if you want to come on the show to talk about anything, if you got something else to promote, or if there's just some interesting topic you wanted to talk about, happy to do that too. That's what this
Sure.
is all about. So congratulations on your film and its successful screening, and good luck with the rest of your courses. And it's the beginning of December, so good luck on your exams in the coming week or two.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Local Film Talk, folks. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel, Local Film Talk. You can follow us on Twitter at Local Film Talk. On Facebook, we're just on the trianglelife.tv Facebook group, so you can follow that and see a lot of our updates there. And I finally got the podcast up on iTunes, so you can search for Local Film Talk on iTunes and get the podcast there, or you can find it on trianglelife.tv. I'm, of course, Bob Walters at Paradise_Bob on Twitter. And I appreciate you guys listening to my conversation with Carl. Wish her the best of luck. And you guys, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.